Greetings and happy 2020. If you haven't already watched my video about my Stranger Things pre-mark haul, which was awesome, I'm here to do my monthly catch-up on what I watched in the month of December. Now this one's probably going to be a longer one, folks, because I watched quite a lot of stuff because I didn't leave the house because I was skinty poos, fiscally challenged. So I'll try not to give too much detail on too many movies because I'm sure you don't need to hear all of that. I will just put my little screen recorder on so we can get started, and there it goes. So let's get kicked off with the 1st of December. I watched an animation on Netflix called Klaus, which I absolutely loved. It was really sweet, it made me cry. It's not difficult, it's an hour and 37 minutes. People's probably not going to be in the mood to watch Christmas movies right now, but it was a really, really nice watch. I got the feeling that it wasn't American or British. Does it say here where it was made? What am I doing now? Sergio Pablos, so is it Spanish? No, I don't want to stop. Anyway, I'm not sure exactly where it's from. I could go into IMDb and find out. Am I going to? No. You see, someone's called Jesper, and that is a very sort of, you know, like, what do they call, like, Norway and like Scandinavian sort of name, so, but it was just such a sweet animation about an alternative explanation for Santa Claus. I loved it. So if you do like that sort of thing, check out Klaus. On the 3rd, I watched, this is a series on Netflix called The Devil Next Door. This is one about a gentleman that has been identified as someone that was very involved in what went on in concentration camps in Germany, known as Ivan the Terrible. He did some really brutal, horrible, nasty things, and he has been eyeballed and pointed out by people that were in the camps as being Ivan the Terrible. This follows, this guy's went on and had a life and been married and has grandkids and is like pillar of society kind of thing, and he is saying no, it's not me, and they're saying yes, it's you. And this follows the whole court case and what happened and the fallout from it. Quite interesting. It was a little bit, I felt it deliberated too much over some things. It could have been shorter, but if you like a good documentary, check that out, Devil Next Door. On the 4th, I watched Under the Silver Lake. This is one I'd heard a lot of people speak about. On reading the synopsis, it wasn't something I particularly fancied, but so many people were saying, oh, I can't wait to see this, that I watched it. This is one of my very rare reviews on the Letterboxd site. I wrote, it's being said that if you don't like this movie, it's because you're not intelligent. Codswallop. This is just endlessly dull, drawn out, senseless and extremely overrated. I gave it 2 stars for its soundtrack, but the rest just wasn't for me. This is a story about a young man who develops an obsession with a neighbour of his, who subsequently disappears, and the movie follows him trying to look into what may have happened to her. That sounds quite interesting, just that little bit, but no. It was all style over substance. The soundtrack was fantastic. I liked how it was filmed. The actual movie itself and the plotline was just ridiculous. On the 5th, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This is one I missed at the cinema. I really wanted to see it. The only way I will explain this to you as far as I saw it was, it's like a Goosebumps movie with slightly more creepy imagery. There was some imagery in it that was fantastic. I'm like, oh, that's creepy as hell. But it was very generic, I felt, and it was very much like sort of Goosebumps territory. Like, it's the sort of thing Isaac, my 8-year-old, would really have enjoyed, but I didn't allow him to watch it purely because some of the imagery in there was a little bit, I thought, too creepy for him. But the story itself he would have followed perfectly fine. On the 6th, I had a rewatch of the movie Searching, which my husband hadn't seen, so we sat down to watch it. I really enjoyed this movie first time, I enjoyed it again. The only thing I would say is the ending is extremely predictable and was picked up by myself and my husband very early on. If you don't know what the movie is, it's about a father whose daughter has disappeared, and the entire movie is sort of like his online search for what may have happened to her, looking into like different sites that she used, finding out things about his daughter that he never really knew, and working together with the police to try to track down the whereabouts of his daughter and what may have come of her. If you don't like those movies that sort of are very much concentrated on the internet, and all of it is sort of the internet, like dark web, is it called, Unfriended, that sort of thing. It's very similar ilk. Probably a little bit more quality than the dark web movies. But yeah, a bit predictable, but it was an enjoyable watch. On the 6th, Going the Distance. What the hell's this? I'm trying to remember. Aaron and Garrett are in love. She moves to San Francisco. He stays in New York. I don't remember this. Hang on, is that Adam Driver? Wait a minute. Drew Barrymore, right? Justin Long. Is that Justin Long? It reminds me so much of Adam Driver. I don't know why. I really like Drew Barrymore. Sometimes I like to watch just really like easy to watch romances. I'm a girl, what can I say? It was okay. It was a typical romantic drama. Nothing special, but I love Drew Barrymore. She's just such a sweet actress. I really like her. On the 8th, I went to the cinema to see Frozen 2. I shall explain that. The 8th of December was my birthday. It's the only damn way I was getting my husband and child to the cinema to watch Frozen 2, so we did. And as I predicted, Isaac did enjoy it. Darren said that the cinematographer, or the animation was excellent. So it's just when people break into song, it really, really aggravates him. He hates it. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. On the 8th, Good Boys. This is one that I was a bit meh about because it was sort of like marketed as being like Superbad, but with younger kids using really vile language, which maybe some people find funny, but you know, it's like, meh. I suppose it's how they talk in reality, kids. But it was alright. I didn't think it was hilarious. I thought a lot of the jokes were overused. I thought when they thought they got a joke once and they got a laugh from it, it was used repeatedly. The characters were okay. I actually preferred the support characters to the main one. But it's about a group of young boys on the cusp of becoming teenagers, embarking on an epic quest to fix their broken drone before their parents get home. It's entertaining. It's not... It's the sort of thing that Isaac would have loved if it didn't have all the bad language in. But it's not something... It's nothing to write home about. On the 9th, I watched Blinded by the Light. I really like this. I watched this when I was in Florida on the way home or on the way there on the plane. I watched Yesterday, which is a movie about if the Beatles had never existed. This guy wakes up and no one knows who the Beatles are. They don't know any of the songs. So he releases the songs and becomes instantly famous, and it's this sort of like music movie. So I watched this because it was marketed pretty similarly. It's called Blinded by the Light, which would make you think it's about another musician. It isn't. This one's actually about Bruce Springsteen, and it follows a young Asian lad. 1987, Thatcher's Britain. Very conservative Asian family want to marry him off, want to tell him what he wants to do in life. His father's very judgmental, very much like East is East type thing. East is East is such... If you haven't seen East is East movie, one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Love it. But this, it has got moments of humour, but it isn't a comedy, it's more of a drama. It follows this young man's discovery of Bruce Springsteen and how that changes his life and his struggles with his family, and I loved it. I recommend it. Blinded by the Light, lovely movie, really liked it. Come on, Lisa. On the 9th, Prey. I'm not going to spend any time talking about this. I gave it 1 star. I didn't write it all. I didn't finish it all. After being put on a supposedly uninhabited island as a form of behavioural rehabilitation, a high school senior finds that he's not alone on the island and that getting discovered could be deadly. Now, maybe I should have watched it and it would have been much better than I thought, but I got constantly distracted. I kept having to rewind it because I was getting bored, and in the end I thought, flip this, I'm gonna sleep. And I did. On the 10th, Don't Let Go. You have to excuse me because I'm having to open these to remind myself. After a man's family dies in what appears to be a murder, he gets a phone call from one of the dead, his niece. This guy is a police detective. This is a really odd movie. It's not one that makes any sense, so don't watch it thinking it will. He does basically get a phone call from his niece who is in a different time dimension to him. She is speaking to him from a time before the murder happened. He is speaking to her from after the event, and he is trying to prevent the events from happening without actually telling her what's going on. She doesn't realise anything. She just thinks she's speaking to her uncle on the phone. She doesn't realise what's going on. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I thought it was pretty entertaining. Don't Let Go. On the 11th, I watched Brian Banks. Oh yeah. This is actually a true story about Brian Banks, who was on the career to be just a fantastic American football player. It says an all-American football player's dreams to play in the NFL are halted when he is falsely accused of rape and sent to prison. And it is what it says in the tin. That's exactly what happened. He did go to prison. The person falsely accused him. That later did come to light, but this guy's entire life was ruined. He spent quite a long time in prison, and by the time he got out, he was too old to pursue his real talent in life. Really, really sad story. You just amazing that it can happen, but it does and continues to. Really, really interesting story. Very sad story. On the 12th, American Son. This is a movie that is all set in one room. Steve Pasquale and Kerry Washington star. Florida police station, an estranged interracial couple awaits news of their missing teenage son. And that is the entire movie. It's arguments and discussions and trying to work out where he is, what's happened, the police's responsibility in it, the fact that he's not white, is it being taken seriously, has he been a victim of mistaken identity, all these kinds of things. Is their son involved in things that they maybe don't know about? If I can't say the acting was bad, but it just wasn't very interesting. Maybe I wasn't in the right mood for it, but I didn't dig that one. Dark Encounter. I've given that a 1.5. Oh yes, this had the potential to be really interesting, and it had some real Signs vibes about it in places. This is one where an 8-year-old girl goes missing, and the following year, is it the following year? Oh no, it's the same night of her funeral for her memorial service. Later that evening, strange lights appear in the nearby forest, and the family is exposed to an inexplicably strange phenomenon that rattles them to the core. So this is like a UFO movie. In places it's quite interesting, but certain things about it, especially the acting, badly lets it down. It does have the potential to be much better than it was, but yeah, I would say give it a go. It's maybe just my personal taste, but when you've got a movie like Signs that does it so well, this is just a very poor comparison to me. On the 14th, I watched the second Jumanji film. I went to the cinema to see that. You can't be bad to sit and watching Dwayne Johnson for an hour and a half. I don't care how bad the movie is. It was entertaining enough. I enjoyed it. It was funny. I just like the new Jumanji movies. They're a lot of fun. So yeah, I recommend that. If you don't like stupid, silly, just flippant movies, you might not get anything from it, but I enjoyed it. I took Isaac to the cinema to see that one. Same night, I watched one called Wishman. This was really overdone on the sentimental side of things, which sucked a bit. You could see what they were trying to do, but they just over-egged the pudding with this. This is the true story about the man that founded Make-A-Wish Foundation. He was a police officer who had a... hang on, is it? Yes, near-fatal accident. So it goes through his childhood, his horrible childhood. He has a near-fatal accident and his frame of mind changes, and someone comes in with a little boy that is going to die very soon, who wants nothing else in the world than to be a motorcycle police officer, and he comes in and this cop takes him around after initially being, oh, I really don't, I'm not the right person for this, no, don't want to know, but he takes him around, and something in this little boy and the relationship he forms sparks something in him, and he ends up forming Make-A-Wish Foundation. And it's just showing you, it's a true story, overly sentimental, but really, really interesting to see how Make-A-Wish was formed, and it gives you updates at the end and all that stuff. On the 15th, Trolls Holiday. It was like a little Christmassy cartoon with the trolls from the movie Trolls. Perfectly, you know, okay for kids. I was trying to get into the Christmas spirit. It wasn't too bad. Same evening I watched New Year's Eve, which is a like comedy drama romance blah de blah about New Year's Eve. It passed some time, it was okay. It follows the lives of different people that all somehow interact at the end. One of those movies. It's got, what's his name? Oh god, this cast is why I watched it, obviously. Robert De Niro, Katherine Heigl, Ashton Kutcher, Zac Efron. There's just, you can probably see that. Abigail Breslin, Hilary Swank. The cast of this is like, oh my life, how did you get this cast? The quality of the movie does not live up to the cast, but it's not a bad movie. It's just stuff that's happening in a lot of people's lives on New Year's Eve. So check it out. On the 16th, Six Underground. Oh, I hated this. So many people were going on about how good this was, and the opening scene, the special effects are fantastic, don't get me wrong. But in movies, when there are extended car chase scenes, I just find it so boring. And this just, to me, just seemed like action scenes from the Fast and the Furious over and over and over again. So again, I gave one of my very rare Letterboxd reviews. Gave up after 30 minutes. If you want lots of stunts, copious car chases, stylised coolness, and don't like movies that make you engage your brain, then you'll love this. It's a pass from me. Stick to Deadpool, Mr. Reynolds. I'll give you a 2 for some of the effects. That's my opinion on that one. On the same evening, The Peanut Butter Falcon. This was a sweet movie. This is a movie about a young man with Down syndrome that wants nothing else in life other than to be a professional wrestler. He lives at an old people's home because there's nowhere, he's not old, he's a young man, there's nowhere else for him to go, he's an orphan. He is there because he can't look after himself, and he makes a break for freedom. And in this break he meets a young man, they become friends, very unlikely friendship, and this other man tries to fulfill his dream of becoming a wrestler. And the lady from the retirement home that's looking for him the whole time, she catches up with him, and she's very torn with whether to allow him to live his dream or protect him and bring him home. So it's just a nice story. Really fantastic acting in that one. Check it out if you like that kind of thing. On the 17th, Ready or Not. I really like this. This is another one I wanted to see at the cinema but didn't. It's got, what's that lady's name? Is it Samara Weaving? Is she the one? So this really pretty girl marries into a very wealthy family. We are at the beginning given a scene that tells us that there's something a bit untoward about these people. When anyone in the family gets married, they have to play a game, and if a specific card is pulled or in this game, basically the family have to hunt this person down to the death and try and kill them. And this is what happens, and she's unlucky enough to pull that card. All you need to do is see the cover of this, to see that first scene which lasts about 2 minutes, to know this is going to happen. So that's not a spoiler. The movie just follows her trying to survive. There's a lot of carnage and death in this one, but a lot of it's done in a quite humorous light. It was just a cut of my jib. I really liked it. It just appealed to me. It's my kind of movie, so Ready or Not, check it out. On the next evening, right, I'm going to be doing a video about this one, guys. I've been wanting to since I saw it on the 18th of December. It's, I'm going to swear, it's called Don't Fuck With Cats, Hunting an Internet Killer. I'm not going to go into any detail, but this follows a Facebook group of people trying to track down a person responsible for torturing and killing animals in videos he releases online. This person gravitates, as isn't the case in so many killers, gravitates eventually from animals to a human, and this documentary follows the entire case. I'm going to do a video about that if you want to check it out, but I would really recommend watching that. I will say there are some scenes that it shows. It does not show the actual cruelty itself to the animals, but every time they put a clip of his video on, I would fast forward. I have read that it does show in one case a kitten that has passed, that is dead, and it does show in another case a kitten looking extremely frightened before it dies. So obviously trigger warning for that. I cannot watch anything with animal cruelty. I'm just not able. My recorder is switched off. So anytime there was anything in that video, I would fast forward. But most of what you were shown isn't anything. There's no killing of the animals, but you can hear sound effects. So just be warned about that. It's a really quality documentary though. The next evening I watched Charlie St. Cloud. Oh yeah, that's another. You think I've got a Zac Efron thing? I don't. Um, this this was quite a sweet movie actually. This is a movie. This young man loses his little brother. His little brother dies in an accident, and his little brother doesn't leave him. He promises his little brother that he will play catch with him every evening at a certain time at a certain place. And he does this even though his little brother has passed. He hasn't moved on. He keeps coming back. And this follows Zac Efron's character trying to move on with his life, but being unable to because obviously he has to be at this time at this place every evening. When he meets a girl that he falls in love with, he does have to make a choice between potentially saving this girl's life or being there for his brother. So yeah, a sweet little movie actually. On the 20th I watched The Irishman, which most people will be aware is on Netflix at the moment and is ridiculously long, 209 minutes. I do not like movies about the mob, the mafia. They bore me. I don't know why, it's just not my thing. I did watch it though. I watched about half of it before I lost the will to live. It was really well made, it was really well acted, it was probably really, really excellent to anyone that likes that kind of thing. I don't, so I'm not a good judge of this. I thought it was too drawn out. I thought they should have picked different actors to play the young versions of the men. I thought that, like, whatever they, was it CGI or makeup or what the hell had they done to Robert De Niro? He looked ridiculous. But just wasn't my cup of tea. But like I say, that's just me. I don't like mob and mafia stuff. It's just not my cup of tea. My husband liked it okay, but even when he finished it, he thought it was a lot longer than it needed to be. He said he would have liked to have seen it as a series, broken down into sort of smaller parts. I don't know what the hell's going on out there. This week, concrete blew off the edge of our roof and onto our car. It was so stormy, like proper stormy at the minute. Right, so the same evening as The Irishman, I watched Angel of Mine. Yes, this one was quite interesting actually. This is a story about a woman that's daughter has died and she becomes convinced that her daughter is still alive, that she has seen her and that another couple have her, and she thinks that there's potential that perhaps her daughter was switched at birth with another daughter. There's just a link between her and this girl and she's convinced that this is her daughter. And it's very fatal attraction-y, although attraction for a whole different reason. She like tries to put herself into the family, she becomes a bit of a stalker, she lies about everything to ingratiate herself with the family to get close to this little girl. I enjoyed it. I thought it was quite an interesting movie. We're getting there, folks. On the 21st I watched Christmas Break-In because I wanted to feel all Christmassy, wanted to watch something with Isaac. This is basically Home Alone with a little girl in it and not as much quality. That's all I can say. It's okay, but it's Home Alone. Exactly the same, but set in a school. 21st, The Death of Dick Long. This is such a weird movie, and when you find out, obviously someone called Dick Long dies. And when you find out how, your eyebrows will be even more skyward than mine happen to be, giving me those delightful ruts that I have from always raising my eyebrows. Weird movie. Quite slow, quite dull. But when you find out how the guy died, it's like, what? Not even going to tell you. 22nd, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Cinema, loved it, cried. I thought it was a really fitting end to the franchise. It just had so many fuck yes moments, so many sad moments, so many touching moments. I won't discuss any of it because I don't know who has and hasn't seen it, but I was very much in the I love it camp. Same evening, Office Christmas Party, generic comedy with Jennifer Aniston, about a office that is going to go under. They're not performing very well and they decide to throw a big flash Christmas party in order to try and attract business from a specific individual, because if they get this guy's business, they will stay afloat. Jennifer Aniston plays the sister of the guy in charge of the office, who is more senior than him and is a ball-busting bitch, and she doesn't want... She just shuts the whole thing down. She doesn't want any party happening. Goes ahead anyway behind her back, but it's just a generic comedy. It's interesting enough. I just was looking for anything that was like remotely Christmassy. I am freezing. My hands are like ice. 23rd, Hustlers. I really like this one as well. What's her name? J-Lo. That woman's body is just honest to God. So this is a true story about a group of dancers who decide to start hustling bankers, very rich men, by drugging them, taking them to the club that they worked at. They have gravitated from being the dancers, and they would basically get these guys out of their face, collapsed in one of the back rooms, and then they would run up a charge on their credit card for thousands of dollars. And this is just what they would keep doing, and these women became rich doing this. I know that the lady that Jennifer Lopez plays is trying to sue because she said it hasn't shown her in proper light. But it was a really entertaining movie. I got a lot from that one. I thought it was really good. And she's just so beautiful in this, really. Ad Astra on the 23rd, I gave it half a point. I done one of my rare reviews and it's got about 20 Zs, that's it. This is the one with Brad Pitt where he goes on a mission to space seeking his father who has been missing for many, many years, because they think the father, who they previously thought was dead, is actually still alive and is setting off some form of, is it bombs or something? Someone's written, oh come on, it wasn't that bad, below my review. It was. It was awful. And I watched all of it. It was so boring. It was so pretentious. It was so, no. On the 24th, Let It Snow. I have no idea what that is. No, oh hang on, something's coming back to me. No, something's half coming back to me and then it isn't. I'm trying to look at people in the pitch. Oh god, yes. This is just a teenage rom-com set around snow. It tries to do a bit of the Notting Hill thing with the famous guy liking the not famous girl, and there's loads of different people's stories going on that all converge at the end of the movie. It's not terrible, but I wouldn't rush out to watch it. Abominable. Yes, this is a little animation about the abominable snowman. It was perfectly sweet. It was a lovely animation. It was really nicely done. I probably cried again. I have a tendency to do this with sweet animations. I would recommend that. I thought it was very, very cute. Freaks on the 24th. Yes. This gentleman keeps his young daughter inside their house and never lets her out and tells her that she is different from everyone else. And we spend the movie trying to work out what's the reasoning, why is she different. The little girl's desperate to get outside. She has secretly developed a friendship with a girl that lives across the road. She has managed to sneak out of the house against her father's wishes. All sorts of stuff kicks off. We get to know what the reasoning is. There is like a... No, I'm not going to tell you any more than that. Well acted, quite interesting. Slow in places, but worth a watch, I think. Freaks. On the 25th, Christmas Day, I watched Nightmare Cinema in the evening. I watched this because Mickey Rourke was a projectionist in it. He didn't have much of a part in it. It's an anthology movie. I think Strange Monkey reviewed this. I can't be sure. And I think he really enjoyed it. And I added it to my watch list. I didn't like it. It's just story after story about different people all put together. A series of down-on-their-luck individuals enter the decrepit and spine-chilling Rialto theatre, only to have their deepest and darkest fears brought to life on the silver screen by the projectionist. I thought it was pretty naff, but that's me. You may enjoy it. I didn't. I thought it was very, very dated. The 27th, Hotel Mumbai. This is obviously the very true story about the group of terrorists that took over the Hotel Mumbai in 2008, November 26th. This basically follows the staff and some of the guests that were hiding. So my battery did run out. I'm back. The Art of Racing in the Rain is one of those, you know, like A Dog's Journey and A Dog's Purpose. I think it may be by the same people. It's got, what's the guy called that's in it? Milo, was it Milo? Oh, well, Lisa, why did you even try and say Milo Ventimiglia? Can't say it. Amanda Siegfried, no? Amanda Seyfried? I thought it was Siegfried. Anyway, it's a story about a dog's place in a family and about that family and its evolution and what happens, and it's a nice movie, but obviously you're going to cry at some point because the dog's life does come to an end in the movie. I cried, but it was a really sweet, nice movie if you can bear the dog dying in the end, which is heartbreaking for me. But same evening, Feedback. I really enjoyed this one. It won't be everyone's cup of tea. This is a British movie with an actor who I really, really like. I'm not even going to remember. Is it Eddie Marsan? Oh, Jesus Christ, Lisa. Right, he's an actor that's in an awful lot of stuff. He was in Pierrepoint with, oh, Jesus Christ, the guy from Auf Wiedersehen, Pet. There will be some people that are British. I'm thinking Kermit's Ghost Hair Alan, who will know exactly who I'm talking about. The blonde guy that was in Auf Wiedersehen, Pet, that's gone on to be in so many movies and is excellent. He played Pierrepoint. This guy was in Pierrepoint as his best friend. I could look it up. I'm not going to because you probably don't care. This is a radio host is kidnapped on air, which is the main guy that I really like, and forced to tell secrets about his past. So him and one of his colleagues also is involved, and this group of people have an agenda. They want them to go on live to the masses and go into detail about an offence that was committed years prior. It's really well acted, it's really realistic, it's very gritty, it's quite gory. All hell kicks off. It's a really interesting movie, and the whole while you're trying to work out, did he do it? Didn't he do it? And I liked how it ended as well. I thought it was a very poignant ending. So that's called Feedback. It's mostly all set in the radio station in the room. It won't be for everyone, but I really, really liked it. But I love that actor, so whose name I can't remember right now. Vibro Fog, folks. On the 30th, I watched Journey to the Mysterious Island. Yes, you can see Dwayne Johnson there. That's probably why I agreed to put it on, even though I knew it would be crap because Isaac wanted to see it. It's like one of those fantasy, silly kiddie sort of things about being on an island with giants. I think all the small stuff's giant, and all the giant, like, there's little elephants that are the size of dogs, and like bugs are massive, you know, that sort of thing. It's entertaining for kids. If you want to look at Dwayne Johnson for a couple of hours. Same evening, Cutterhead. This could have been so much better than it was. This, I wonder, is this true? I'm not sure. So this is subtitled. Ree is a PR coordinator visiting a tunnel boring machine, to portray the well-oiled European cooperation in the metro construction when an accident occurs. Unable to escape, she takes refuge in an airlock with Croatian miner Ivo and Bayran, a worker from... Lisa, why did you even start reading this? Eritrea. So, that's what it is. She's not a worker. She doesn't really know any of the safety stuff. She doesn't know what she's doing, and she's trapped in this major accident has happened. They're running out of air. All sorts of like things are crossing their mind. They're desperate for survival. Are they going to manage to get out? Are they not? This covers that. Really interesting premises, really interesting in places, but had the potential to be so much better than it was. Still probably worth a watch though. And last two movies on the 31st of December, Slaughterhouse Rules, which is a British comedy horror with Michael Sheen, Nick Frost, Simon Pegg, you know, that sort of ilk. I thought it was pretty naff. It was alright, but you know, when you see things like Shaun of the Dead and how good that is, but in saying that, I don't like Hot Fuzz, and I know a lot of people do. I do like, is it World's End? I like that one, but this was just, it just wasn't that good, to be honest. It's about a boarding school, and hang on, what does it say here? English boarding school. The monolithic rules of the British upper class change when greed and recklessness unleash an ancient power hidden for centuries, and future predators become helpless prey. I just thought it was meh. And lastly, Little Monsters, which I actually just watched a review of today on Adam's channel, Adam Paul Bowman. This is an Australian movie. He did it on his Land Down Under reviews. I very rarely watch reviews or anything nowadays, folks. So please don't think, oh well, why she watched his and she doesn't watch mine. If I get 2 or 3 minutes here or there, I might check something out. But you know, I don't get much of a chance these days, unfortunately. So Little Monsters, I love this. I think I like this more than Adam did. The humour really appealed to me. I found it very funny. I love Lupita Nyong'o. Is that it? I really like her. She's a beautiful actress. Not just because she's beautiful, obviously, but she's a very well accomplished actress. I watched Us again recently and really liked that. My husband wasn't as big a fan. I love her. I think she's fantastic, and I thought she was really good in this. Like I say, the humour appealed. It was gory. There was a decent story. Basically, it's a zombie apocalypse in this area. A washed-up musician teams up with a teacher, played by her, that's name I can't say, and a kids show personality to protect young children from a sudden outburst of zombies. So they're trying to go through this, pretending to the kids that nothing's kicking off, that nothing's weird. And they succeed. They manage to not frighten the kids. And I just really, really enjoyed it. It proper appealed to me. I'm just looking to see other people. There's Chris, my good pal, gave it 3.5, so he liked it as well. Is that Monty? It is. He gave it 3 stars. So yeah, some people that sort of like I know are obviously on here as well. Who's that? Bob, I don't know who that is. So yeah, let's end it there, folks. That is everything that I watched in December. I apologise for the length of this video. God only knows how long it is. Yeah, that's me all caught up with what I watched in December. And what about you guys? Anything you've seen recently that you would recommend that I haven't seen? I'll tell you what I haven't seen yet, and I'm desperate to see, is Doctor Sleep. I missed that in the cinema as well. I don't get to go nowadays unless it's stuff with Isaac. I know Aaron from Screen Stars has done a review, and I usually watch his reviews, but I'm avoiding it because I want to know nothing. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. So yeah, thanks for watching, folks. Let me know down below what you thought of any of those movies, or if there's anything that you would recommend for me to watch. And I shall catch up with you again at the end of the month to show you what I've watched in January. I shall be recording, hopefully next, a review about, or a let's talk about the Don't Fuck With Cats documentary. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned to my channel. That will pop up in the next few days. Okay, over and out from Lisa Lives.